Hello and welcome to The Last Word on Spurs. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're listening to the show for the first time, you can find us on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're on Audio Boom, we're across a range of different audio platforms. We're of course on Twitter at Last Word on Spurs. We're on Facebook and Instagram too. And unfortunately, we are live on YouTube, bringing you instant reaction as Tottenham Hotspur crash out of the FA Cup in what can only be described as really just an abysmal performance. Shambolic, disgraceful. I mean, there's probably so many words we could use to try and describe what we've just witnessed from Spurs and the manner of that performance in the FA Cup. You know, a cup that Spurs really, I don't know what to say. And it's not often that I'm speechless, but I have got three of our very, very obviously returning regular guests on The Last One on Spurs that are going to hopefully try give us some therapy as to what we've just witnessed. Can't get over what I've seen. Delighted to have back alongside me. He's over in the UK. I'm starting to think if he's a jinx. We've got the brilliant Richard Cracknell. Rich, what is going on with our football club?
Rick, I think I'm the same as you, mate. I just can't. I don't know. I genuinely don't know what goes on there. To go to City and win, and then go to Burnley and lose, and go to Leeds and win, go to Borough and not lose because it happens in the cup, but then offer that up as a performance. I don't know. I genuinely do not know how they can be so Jekyll and Hyde. You know, listen, we can only talk within the context of football. Like right now in the world, there's other things going on that make, like, you know, football clubs being poor power into massive insignificance. So, and I think whatever we say here tonight, everybody gets that, but we're just talking within, like, you know, the confines of football. So I don't know. I think the whole culture of this club is rotten. I've just come to the decision that we are a rotten football club at the moment. Not Conte, not the players. I just think the whole thing around this club at the moment is rotten. You draw your own conclusions of where I'm going with that. I think it's just rotten at the moment. Anyway, you've got other people to speak to, Rick. I'm sure we'll tease out what we all think over the next 12 minutes of this show.
I must say, Rich, as you brought on there and alluded to, I just want to say that you know, what we do understand, of course, in the world, that beyond the realms of football, there obviously is a bigger aspect of what's happening in the world right now. And obviously all of our thoughts are with Ukraine and what they're going through. And yeah, I mean, listen, we just hope the world gets back to some normality, if there is some normality of this world, as soon as possible. So like I say, all our thoughts are there. Pleased to also have back on the show tonight, always tells it as it is, doesn't ever shirk. We've got the brilliant Frankie Major on. Frankie, so sorry, mate, to bring you back for this. I know you were looking forward to coming back on. I'm sure it wasn't under these circumstances. Thank you so much for coming back on, Frankie. What have we just witnessed, Frank, over the course of, 120 minutes?
Is anyone surprised, really? And that's the question you've got to ask yourself, because no, this wasn't a guarantee tonight. I didn't speak to one fan that was confident. I don't speak to any fans that are confident before any matches anymore. It's just what we've become. And it's incredibly frustrating. I'm just sick and tired and sick to death of seeing there's a core of players who have been here, if not under Pochettino's reign, or if they were there, but just at the beginning of Jose's reign as well. 5 or 6 or 7 players I'm sick to death of watching. Just watching the same players with the same results, doing the same mistakes, and expecting something different. It's just incredibly frustrating. But the worst part of the manner of the defeat tonight was the fact that it was a roll your sleeves up and get stuck in against a team that were very willing in Middlesbrough. They had all the fight in them, they had the crowd behind them. And that's what hurts, the fact that these players, even the unable ones, which Jason, Rich have spoken of so often, you know, the unwilling, the unable, even the unable ones can't roll their sleeves up and put in the minimum requirement of giving 100% effort, not missing tackles, not pulling out your challenges, and at least trying. And the manner of that tonight hurts the most. The fact that these players are actually outfought by a championship side, but it is what it is. I didn't expect us to win. I probably didn't expect us to lose, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I don't think we should be surprised. I think we're seeing this season. Joe on the screen that says he's 14 years season ticket holder in the shelf for my son, and we won't be renewing. I feel sad, but that's how I feel, as I love Spurs. But this is Enix doing. Also back on the show. Listen, always honest, tells it as it is, never shirks. Jason McGovern's back. Jace, just when you think you can't be surprised by this football club, there's still always, a surprise. Philip on the screen there says Pacos, Mora, Morecambe, and now tonight. I mean, how much more can we slog and go through what we're going through at the moment, Jace, as fans? I've lost you on mute there, Jason. Unmute you, sorry.
I'm just going to say, when we start in the shit quiz, can we do it now? Just get straight on with it. No, it was... The bizarre thing was, and maybe the players were the same as me, even though Borough looked like they'd win it, I never actually felt that they would win it. I just thought, no, something will come our way. And maybe that was a problem. Maybe that was an error. When Frankie said I wasn't confident, I was confident going to Borough. And I wasn't fooled by the Leeds display, by the way. It wasn't because we won at Leeds. I just thought, Man United in the previous round missed a lot of chances against Borough, which is why they went through, and they got through with an handball type of goal. And that apart, Man United should have won the game, and they just missed a lot of chances. And I thought we will create not a bundle of chances, but we'll create enough chances and that bit of quality up front. But Sonny had a disappointing night, shall we say, or a shocking night for other people, and it was just lackadaisical all night, wasn't it? And we know the deficiencies of Højbjerg and Winks, and you see it again and again and again. Kulusevski was the only one who looked like he might make something happen, but nothing came from him, and Borough probably deserved to go through at the end. So that's the thing is, if you've played 120 minutes against a championship side and haven't scored a goal, you deserve to get beaten, don't you? Let's be honest. So this yet another year goes by for us.
Yeah, do you know what? It's just so hard to comprehend just the plight of this football club in the last 36 months, from a Champions League final to what we're going through now. I mean, I know they say you should never be surprised by football and by clubs, but boy, Tottenham, just when you think you can't be surprised and you go and stick to even lower depths. Stefan Boyes on the screen there says 1 step forward, 3 steps back. I think the tactics were an issue during the game. All teams have to do is not leave space in behind. They get a good chance of getting a win. We will come on to that, Stefan, because I think tonight, I think we've all touched upon, it's bigger than just the game. There's a wider aspect to Spurs at the moment that I know many are frustrated and unhappy with. Danny D on the screen there says Winks is so bad he wouldn't get into Middlesbrough team. Again, lots of frustration out there for Harry Winks. But I've got to be honest and say that a lot of those Spurs players just simply aren't good enough. Of course, we are recording straight after the game, so we are going to be getting live updates from Antonio Conte's press conference, which is underway now. He has just spoken and said, this is part of the process. I repeat, we have to try and avoid the up and down, and there is only one way to improve the situation, and that is to work and learn about the defeat. We have to go ahead and we'll try our best this season. He then goes on to say, we will see what our position is and evaluate the season. It is too early to say something about this. So you could maybe argue Antonio Conte more of a, again, this is only the first few words of this press conference, more of a calmer Antonio Conte. I mean, coming over to you, Rich, what must he be thinking watching this? This is the guy that, in the FA Cup, I think it's 1 defeat in 16 for him. In the 2 occasions that he was in the FA Cup, he reached the final on both occasions. I mean, can he believe what he's watching out there? Or do you think he understands now, based on the way this Spurs team have played under him this season?
He must be thinking, like, what's the first flight from Stansted tomorrow morning to Turin on Ryanair? And can I get it for like 16 quid? And can I have a ham and cheese toastie on board with a cup of cocoa like on now? It's just, it sounds like from those early words you've just given us, Rick, he's toned it down a little bit from where he, he was very, very up and down, best players I've ever worked with, to like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So he's right. Do you know what, Rick? I've just sat here and thought about it in the last couple of minutes. And I said to you on a show before, Spurs at the moment, we are literally going to be win one, lose one, draw one, win one, lose one, draw one, win one. And I think that's what we are at the moment. But the bigger picture and worry, as I said to you, is how do we change that? Because I don't even know if one summer's window is going to change that. I genuinely, honestly, there's something within the culture of the club which just stops us being serial winners, doing things consistently. And, you know, Harry Redknapp couldn't find it. Martin Yeo couldn't find it. Poch couldn't find it. Jose couldn't find it. Nuno, in the 5 minutes he was there, couldn't make us so proud. And now, he's serial winner of the lot. You know, I think Conte sits top of the tree with the people that was a born winner. And there's just something within the culture of the club where players and everybody comes in and it's just not, you must win. Other clubs at the moment, like Liverpool, it just seems you go in there and the whole vibe of the place is, we are winners. You come here, you're a winner. This is what you do. You win at all cost. This club is absolutely geared to be winning. And I just don't see that at Spurs at the moment, Rick. I just do not see it. And I'll be honest, I do blame the board. I know that we sit a little bit sort of quite neutral on these things and nobody tells us as individuals like what we can and can't say about that. But I don't think this current board is instilling a winning mentality on the football pitch. I think their direction is elsewhere. I think they're looking at what goes on with that stadium, in the flats and everything else. And I just don't, I think players come in and think, well, the owners of this place are off chasing dreams here of property deals there and this there and NFL there and cinemas there and flats here and this and that and everything else. There needs to be a successful football club, 100% focus on that football pitch and what goes on. And I think even if 10% of that 100% goes, you lose something. And it does genuinely feel to me like there's maybe a 30-40% eye on what goes on the pitch and a 60-70% focus on what goes on in building the brand of Tottenham and the business of Tottenham and this of Tottenham. Now, ultimately, that may feed in to building and the club. But in the meantime, that ratio can't be sustained. You can't sustain this 70-30, 60-40 focus. You just can't. It's not enough. It's not enough of a focus. And, you know, again, there's been people that have come as individually and as a pod and have said, you don't get behind the protests enough. You're not coming on the high street and jumping up and down with us enough. But I don't think there's a need to, Rick, because if this continues, like we saw with somebody that put a comment in, I can't renew my season ticket. I can't justify it. And I told the, you might not see it, but I do, with the amount of social media I see. There's a hell of a lot of people in that same boat that next year going, justify that 1,200-1,500 quid next year. I can't give you it. I can't be given that for 1,200-1,500 quid a year. Can't do it. So they're going to hang themselves, Rick. That's the thing. It will end up, there'll just be such huge spaces there of people not renewing, money not coming in. You know, I've heard stories of people that are not renewing corporate gigs at thousands of pounds a year. I'm just not in. So I don't even think there is even a need to go and jump up and down on the high street. People will just vote with their wallets, and that's what will really kill them. That's exactly what we'll do for them when that comes along. So they better shape up. They're going to have to come out and be like, telling us of a plan that they've got and backing him in the summer and trying to renew an interest. This isn't, a hope that they go out and spend a good 150 million. They've got to. They absolutely have to. They've got to go out and invest now, because otherwise they're done. They are absolutely done. So I think that's the state of the club at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, always honest, Rich. Always send it as it is. Frankie, coming over to you. Conte, like I say, he's at the moment in the middle of this pre-match press conference. He goes on to say, I felt we lost a good chance to go through and play a quarter-final. There is disappointment. They deserve to go to the next through in response to Middlesbrough. Compliments to them and their manager. They played very well. He went on to say, we should kill the game. You have to kill your opponent. They had to feel it would be a bad night, but we kept them alive. And as time passed, they became confident and made chances to score. He goes on to say, we have to avoid these ups and downs. We have to become a more stable club. I mean, listen, Conte's telling us everything that we probably already know. Do you reckon he's got the burning desire to do this, Frankie? Because we know, through going via this rebuild, that we've been in this situation for the last 2-3 years. I mean, Rich then rattled off so many numerous managers, but you look at, we've had Pochettino, Jose Mourinho, Nuno for a period, now Conte. So many have tried and failed. Has he got the burning desire to want to do this? Because it's not going to be a 5-minute task, is it?
Well, you're only as good as your players as a manager at the end of the day. You could be the biggest tactical genius in the world. Do you think if Pep Guardiola took over this squad, they'd win the Premier League, or Klopp? No, they wouldn't. So we have to get our recruitment right. And the issue with this club is our recruitment has been abysmal for a long period of time now. We've either tried to cut corners and save money and buy our second or third choice targets. We didn't buy the Bruno Fernandez's when we had to spend an additional £10 million over what he would have cost us. There's this corner cutting, which again stems from the board, where they try and cheat all the time, or they try and gamble on prospects, and they don't sign leaders, characters, winners, the fully developed player. When was the last time, and I keep going on about this, and I've said it so many times on Last Word, the last time we signed a world-class player in his prime was in 1994 when we signed Jurgen Klinsmann, and that is it. Van der Vaart was not a world-class player in his prime. We've had players that have come here and evolved into better players. Luka Modric, Michael Carrick, they went, obviously Berbatov went on to bigger and better things, but a fully evolved player at the peak of his game who is world-class, we haven't signed one under the tenure of Ennick, have we? So, answering your question, will Conte stay around? I don't know. It depends on what assurances he's had. How do we fix it? Recruitment, quite simply. We have to start targeting a different profile of player. Last summer was indicative of what I've been saying, because we've gone for young players, Papi Sarr, Brian Hill. This is not the profile of player that you need to get you back competing with the top players. You look at Chelsea's bit of business they've done with Thiago Silva a couple of seasons back. They signed him at 34, 35 years old of age. We need more signing. We need signings like that. That's not the profile of player that we ever sign. We don't buy experience or players that have won anything. And until we buy players who have won things at incredible leagues, or until we buy characters or leaders, i.e. captains of their club, we're not going to progress. And you look at the leadership off the pitch, as Cracker said, the operations are to generate as much money as possible, not to win. It's a big difference between us and the likes of Liverpool or Chelsea, or even Manchester United, who try to win. That's all they're about, is winning, winning, winning. We're about profiteering, and it shows. And also the right characters on the pitch. Now, you look at that 1 to 11, and I'm going to go through them all. Hugo Lloris is our captain. Our captain. This is a guy who's been there throughout all of these failures. This is a guy who says the same rubbish after each monumental defeat or big defeat at a turning point in the season, i.e. tonight, he'll probably come out with the same rubbish. We'll have to try again. We're sorry, etc. For me, he's been the leader throughout all of these near misses and nearly ran. So you've got to start questioning him as well, in my opinion. Is he a good enough captain? No, he's not. Romero, new to the club, can't speak English, top player in my opinion. Can't really say much about him. Eric Dyer tries. He's one on the pitch that tries to be a leader. Ben Davies isn't a leader. Winks isn't a leader. Winks was bottling 50-50s tonight. He bottled 3 or 4. Højbjerg is a traffic warden, busy conducting everything and doing nothing. The 2 wing-backs, very tepid, very timid. Do you see any leadership from them? No. And the front 3, Kulusevski's a kid. He's 21 years old. Son and Kane. Now, I know he's England captain, but I mean, you can't really criticise Kane for what he does. But looking at that 11 I've just reeled off, where is the spine of leaders in that team? Because there are none, in my opinion. So not only have we got to change, we've got to have a massive sea change in the infrastructure of how the message from the board is fed down to all levels of the club about our targets and wanting to win and what we're here for as a football club. That's got to change. The recruitment's got to change. The budget of recruitment's got to change. And the profile of player that we target has got to change. Now, if they continue to do the same thing, gamble on risks and hope they come off, and they don't change anything in the recruitment infrastructure, then we are not going to do. We're just going to be the same. It's going to be repeating what we've been going for over the last few seasons. Yeah. So it really is all on ENIC and the board now, and how much money we're going to spend. And if that doesn't change, then it could all get really, really ugly this summer. Because if he's not backed and we don't buy the right players, or we get that feeling that we've gone for the bigger players, we've not spent what we should spend, so we've gone for the second or third choice targets. Conte will get prickly with that, you know. We've seen enough from Conte. He'll start to get prickly, and it could unravel. I mean, if you're Harry Kane looking at this,
another trophy this season for Harry Kane, another one. You know, another
15 years. 15 years. It's going to be next season until we won the trophy, and then he could be here for 22 of those. So until they change, and this is the problem I'm going to get onto, and sorry to go on a bit of a rant, how things would change at board level. What would make this board change? Because protests are not going to do that. I'm sorry. They're not. Daniel Levy will not care about protests. He won't. The only way things will change with ENIC is as Crackers and many others have alluded to.
Hit him in the pocket, right?
Empty stadium. We know, we've all had the email. This Everton game on a Monday night on television is going to be half empty. And there's a reason why it wouldn't be half empty if it was on television. I mean, they've priced it. I don't know how they've come to the price they've came to. In you look
Frank,
at the backdrop,
they sent out an email offering season ticket holders the ability to buy up to 5 other people tickets
5 per
to bring
person.
Along. 5.
I know.
5.
And are you surprised though?
Everton.
Are you surprised we're the most expensive team to watch in world football on ticket prices, and that is what we have to watch?
It's unsustainable.
It's unsustainable. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm told,
Rick, I've laughed and joked with you before about serving up like microwave burgers at the Ivy, but it's exactly where we are. You just you can't build the Ivy restaurant and then serve up these microwave burgers. I know it's a jokey analogy, but there's a truth in it.
No, we know that. Yeah, we do.
And it's not on. It's
people along.
Yeah,
it's not good enough, Crackers. It's not good enough, and it's unsustainable. And there's only one way, and I'll keep banging the drum. There's only one way it will change, if we want to see change as Spurs fans. Because again, the show is criticised for being pro-Levy apparently, and we're all in his pocket. We get free.
Despite the fact how many people numerously come on here and criticise the board.
Of course, but apparently, Rick, you're given free tickets, and Chris Cowlin, and we're all given freebies by the club. Yeah. This is apparent, but the only way this will ever change, and it's unfortunate because we all love our club, and I don't think it would ever happen because there's too many diehard loyal fans, is a boycott of the stadium. Because if they saw an empty stadium for a game, this is all ifs, buts and maybes, but if we see another window like we've been cheated, like the January and last summer's window, because we have been cheated, compared to what we put in our hands into our pockets and give the club, compared to what they give back to us in return, we've been cheated. And if we are cheated again, then these sorts of things are going to have to be discussed, because otherwise it's just going to be turgid mediocrity, 8th place, Conte will leave, Kane will leave, and I will have to be a project manager on a long-term plan again. Rinse, repeat, start again, and we'll never win anything. And that's the bottom line.
Yeah, I'm going to come on to you, Jason. I just want to read out some of the comments that we've had, and also we've had obviously Conte continuing his post-match presser. Wu-Tang Gambino says, "Rick, this club is ours. I'm tired of this club. It's always the same thing. Players week in, week out. Davis Winks, Son dreadful. Conte's tactics really, really poor." You have to forgive me, guys. We've had hundreds of messages coming over the course of the last 5-10 minutes. So I'll try my best to read out as many as we can. Oliver on the screen there says, "As much as the starting 11 is inconsistent, take a look at our bench. How can we compete in multiple or even single competitions based on our bench?" And I think finally, we've also had a comment in. I will try and find that comment right now. Again, lots of love for you, Frank, out there from what's been said. This is from AJ, who says, "ENIC used the good name of Tottenham Hotspur in the community, buying up land and property, saying we are the hub of the community. But realistically, it's only adding to the ENIC portfolio." 100% spot on, Frank. Many, Frank, also agreeing with you in the comments. Jason, Conte has said there is the rest of the season to work very hard to try and get the best result for the team and see at the end of the season what our position in the table is. We have to try and work and improve in many aspects. I don't think about myself. We have to think about us, not me. For me, there is no problem. There's the desire and there's will to work hard to improve and make this team more stable than in the past. The truth is today, we are talking about a defeat. The last game we won, 2 games ago we lost, 3 games ago we won. I can't hide the reality. We are having too many ups and downs. This is the problem that was also maybe in the past. And then he finally goes on to say, the coach sometimes has to use the carrot, sometimes the stick. After Burnley, maybe it was the stick. And after we won, after Leeds, the carrot, and we lost. The coach has to always find the best solution, not because you're upset and you're disappointed. So a more philosophical Antonio Conte than what we saw after Burnley. And what do you take from those post-match comments, Jace, from him?
I think he knows, Rick, that whatever he tries to do, this is the group of players he's got, and we've got 14 games to put up with it. You can talk about the tactics. Did he get his tactics wrong? You saw tonight we play with the back 3. I think he wants to. I think from everything he said in the past, he wants to try and control games. And I thought for the 60 minutes, we more or less did have it under control. Then as soon as he switches to a back 4, it gives us a threat going forward. But suddenly we're conceding chance after chance after chance. Then he goes back, puts back a back 3 in. We look a bit more solid. He switches back to a back 4. We open up again. So you can have a go at his tactics to a degree of looking at the negativity, but the fact is, as soon as we opened ourselves up, Borough looked a much better side than us. And I've always said with tactical plans, it doesn't matter what your tactical plan is. If you've got players that can't pass the ball, and Winks and Højbjerg tonight, Winks so often just backways, sideways, backwards, sideways. There's no threat. And Kane dropped into midfield first half. We looked like we might get behind them. Second half, it looked like he'd been told to stay as the focal point up front. Then there was absolutely nothing coming from midfield. And this is the problem, isn't it? People maybe got seduced by the performance against Leeds, but, all we've learnt tonight is Middlesbrough are a better side than Leeds. Because, Leeds we just cut open, but everyone cuts Leeds open. And that's a problem. And I think it's very hard for him because there's nothing he can change. There's no really other options. Who have we missed tonight? Bentancur. That's it. And he improves.
Maybe Skip.
Improves
you probably argue
side,
Skip.
but,
Skip would probably walk into that team.
And Skip.
Maybe Skip.
But even then, Skippy, we're talking about 21-year-old. 21. He shouldn't be the fulcrum of our side yet, Skippy.
Shouldn't be. No.
He shouldn't be. He shouldn't be a key player in the side. He should be just learning his trade within the side. So I think that's the problem. And we all know, I think everyone that watches it knows exactly what you do to stop Tottenham. And the teams that want to come at us, maybe Man United in 2 weeks' time will come at us. That'll allow us to play. But, West Ham will come, get men behind the ball, play for a set-piece corner, beat us with a 1-0 corner. And that's how it'll be. And I think that's the problem for Conte, up and down, because there's not a lot actually he can change at the moment because the players are gone and there's nothing in reserve to bring in for them, is there?
There's not. I've just seen it. Spurs official. I've just tweeted out to say thank you to the fans for their most incredible support. I mean, the support was incredible tonight. We must say the travelling away fans that were there.
Yeah, I mean, to go up 6.5, 7 hours.
Yeah.
To see 2 hours with barely a chance created. You know, your Chris Cowlings, the Ronnie Kids, the people in that I know that go away every single game, John Ellis and people like that, and to have to suffer that and then have a 7-hour journey back home. It's cold, it's wet today, it's been live on TV.
Yeah, Burnley a couple weeks ago as well.
It's ridiculous. No. Yeah, two Mondays in a row or whatever. It's just shocking, isn't it, for them?
Yeah. No, I
agree. Those fans,
give them their money back. Give them their money back.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say, Crackers. There should be a gesture to the fans who have gone to Burnley and Middlesbrough because it hasn't been good enough. It's poor.
Yeah. No, exactly that. Give them their money back. I don't know. Send them a voucher in their. Send
them a voucher for the Spurs shop, though, in us.
Yeah, exactly. No, listen. Give them a meal or something. Give them a stay. Ticket money back. Do something that makes it feel like that you actually care. You know, because I can sit here week in, week out and say to people like Chris Cowling and Ronnie Kidd and everybody else, you know, we know the people that go week in, week out, and say like, oh, fair play to them. And when we get a result, we do well. But that tonight was just abject. So actually give them something tangible back. Give them a cup, like, do you know what I mean? Go and give them a fish and chips in the stadium and their money back or something. Do you know what I mean? Just sitting there and typing and going, oh, well done to everybody that went. It's not enough. It's just too easy, like, you know. Like, if they actually really cared, they would do something about it. It cost them a few grand, but in the grand scheme of things, oh, so what? So Joe Lewis, like, can't go round the beyond time because, like, you know, he's got to do 1 tank less of fuel on his super yacht because he's had to give all them fans their money back tonight. This is the thing. If they went that little extra yard and done something like that, it would just go a small way just to try and make you at least even have the veneer of looking like they cared. But you get one tweet out and they'll go, yeah, that does, yeah, look, that shows we care. We've sent them a little tweet saying, well done, thanks for travelling 7 hours home after that we served up tonight. But so let's see if they put their money where their mouth is on this. It's about time they just started doing a few little bits and pieces like that, Rick.
Yeah, and Friday we'll get the training ground pictures. We go again.
Oh.
Do you know what? Just touching on Cracker's point there. If you remember, over the past couple of years, the lesser owners, they're very in sort of sync with the vibe of their fan base, and there's a synergy there at Leicester for me between the owners and the rest of the club and the fan base. Numerous occasions they've given out free pints to their supporters. These aren't even ones that have travelled that far on a weeknight to support the away team, but they're always giving little gestures and handouts, and I think free away travel on certain games. Enick and Daniel Levy never, ever suggest that type of thing. There's never anything given back, considering what we pay for tickets, home tickets anyway. They never go that extra mile. And it would be a lovely gesture, and even just a small one, to offer something to those fans tonight who've travelled up to Middlesbrough, because to not even score a goal and to go through what they've gone through tonight, it does deserve something tangible back. Crackers is right, but I won't hold my breath.
Yeah, I must have say again tonight, I mean, listen, there's lots of comments, questions coming in about the way Spurs set up tactically. So what we will do is we will go for our first break of the show for our listeners on audio. For our watching audience on YouTube, there's 800 plus of you watching us live. So thank you so much for all your incredible support. Sorry we can't be bringing you more of a positive and upbeat show because, I mean, like I say, we've got such a great panel that we put together, which makes it even more incredibly frustrating. So it's just, incredibly frustrating. I mean, just to talk about the game itself, guys, I mean, that now means for Spurs that, of course, it's a 14 season of an extension now as we crash out of that FA Cup. And just when you think with Spurs, the season's back on track, it goes horribly off course. In relation to the game, I know we don't want to talk about it because of what we've just had to witness, but I mean, Frankie, sticking with you, can you summarise just that game? I mean, is there anything that you felt in that game was going to go right? Or, I mean, tactically, I know a lot of people at the moment felt that something just wasn't quite right, especially in the way in that second half, that the game was slipping us by. We didn't seem in control of that affair. We started, I thought, quite well. But do you have a concern over us tactically at the moment, the way we're setting up?
Well, I agree. I thought we started pretty brightly, but after the first 10 minutes, it faded. And I think you've got to be... It's a tough one because ultimately we have this, which I've been talking about off air, we have this Spurs way, apparently. This Spurs way of we have to play this front foot, pressing, beautiful football, which hasn't got us anywhere for the best part of 30 years, by the way. But there's an obsession with which I understand, because Sir Alex Ferguson used to say that fans pay to be entertained. So I totally get that. But this is another manager now who's won things, that's come in. And again, most part of this squad is the same. As it has been for the last few years. He's looked at the personnel, particularly when certain players are missing, i.e. those who can pass forward, Bentancur, for example, and he has looked at the personnel and thought, I can't press teams higher, I can't dominate possession because I haven't got the able, I haven't got the players who can do that. So suiting what I have, I'm going to set up and counter. And to do it against Middlesbrough, to me, hammers home the point that, again, this squad, when I tell people that this squad has got players that are not capable for Premier League football and won't get into championship sides, I'm not saying it for effect. I'm saying it because it's a fact and a reality. And do you think that the style of football, do you think Winks and Højbjerg in centre midfield can control and dominate a game of football for 90 minutes? No chance. Do you think those wing backs can offer an attacking threat to be able to play that possession-based football, to continue to make those high runs and receive the ball and recycle the ball and create opportunities? No, because they're unable. That again, we've got the same players. I'm not going to sit here and name them. I'm tired of it. I can't be bothered. That have been part of this process over the past few years of where we've gone from the champagne football under Pochettino to the cheap white lightning football under under Nuno, under Conte now at times. And it is what it is. The players are what they are. There is an argument to say against a championship side that we should be pressing high, we should be dominating the game, but we haven't got the capabilities. After seeing our centre midfield tonight outrun and outfought by Johnny Howson, the old Leeds captain, Johnny Howson, and that's a fact. I mean, what do we expect, Rick? So, there is an argument. You'll see on Twitter, there'll be areas of the fan base that will say, oh, Conte's got it wrong. He's been outfoxed by Sean Dyche and Chris Wilder in the space of a week. He should be doing better, etc. But he's having the same problems that Jose had, which was he's tried to play a certain way. He's looked at the players that he's got and how they react to certain things, and he's reverted to this counter-attacking, get men behind the ball, play it safe football and hit them on the break, because that's all he feels we're capable of. And again, it's an indictment of this squad, where they are, why we should have done more in January and possibly could have, and why we definitely should have done more last summer to buy better quality, because they are what they are, the players.
Look at that from Stephen there, as you say there, Frankie. Johnny Howson, 33 years old.
I think he's 34, in fact. I think he's actually 34. But Harry Winks, I'm sorry, I've never been a fan. You know this. I'm not going to sit here and spend most of my show digging him out. But he pulled out of 3 or 4 50-50 challenges tonight. 50-50s. You're a professional footballer. You're supposed to be Spurs through and through. You've come through the academy and you're bottling 50-50 challenges. It's not acceptable. I'm sorry, it's not acceptable. Tonight's performance, you can moan about tactics. You can lay it on Conte. Why did we set up like that? I don't personally. Tonight was about character. And when it's a bit wet, when it's a bit cold and we have to go up north, whether it's Burnley or Middlesbrough, the wind's blowing, it's minus outside, it's raining. I don't fancy Spurs. And that's not anything to do with ability. That's mentality and character and heart.
Yeah. Yeah, Frank, listen, so many people agreeing with you. I mean, Jace, to come over to you. Look, I mean, I don't know where that ranks this season in terms of dismal performances, because we've had so many. But it's got to be up there, I think, with Mora, because, I mean, at least they had 10 men for most of the game. But tonight, just second half beyond that, there was only one team that was going to win that, Jace. There was only one team, and you just felt Conte had the opportunity maybe to speak to him at the point of extra time. Nothing changed. Obviously, we chucked Dane Scarlett on towards the end, but I don't know. Do you have any words for that overall performance, Jace, from what you've seen?
Not really. It was, as Frank says, that's what we've got to work with. You're not going to get much from midfield, are you? Like Frank, I don't necessarily blame the blame the system. You know we've got awful wing backs, but he wants to play that way. But let's be honest, if he, whatever shape you've got, if you've got those two in midfield, you're going to struggle, aren't you? If you play 4-2-3-1, you leave yourself wide open because they can't do the job that way, and then you're not going to get the ball, and you'll have teams running through you. So, it's very easy just to pick on the tactics, but Borough were tactically better, and most teams are better. But that's down to players because you haven't got the players to change systems. You looked at the bench and think who's going to come on, Bergwijn, and that worked for what? For 10 minutes, it looked quite bright when Bergwijn went on, and then Borough found a way to play Bergwijn, and that was it. And then we're reduced to bringing young Dane Scarlett on. So it's like I say, you just got to get to the end of the season, and then you've got some really hard work to do, albeit that I don't think it's that easy to do what we want to do in the summer because we're not an attractive club to come to. We've just seen that with Luis Diaz. So we can talk about wanting Luis Diaz style players, but Luis Diaz will have a more elite club to go to, and most people at that level will have better options than Tottenham Hotspur. So we will be shopping for sloppy seconds and things like that. That's the nature of where we are, and that's what's going to be so hard. So and even like Frankie says, your Thiago Silva's on that. Robert Lewandowski he'll be a free transfer at some stage, but he's never going to come to Tottenham, are they? Players like that, they're used to winning things at clubs they've been at. They don't want to come on to join Tottenham. We wouldn't have been able to have got Sergio Ramos in the summer and players like that. They just think, what? He must be joking. So that's our problem with buying tried and tested as well. They just don't want to come there.
No, I must say it was even that bad at one point. We obviously got moved off BBC One and put on BBC Two. So make of what you want to do about that. I mean, Crackers, coming over to you. Alan Shearer after the game described Spurs players where he said the Tottenham players have been so flaky, typical Tottenham. Even with our run, Rich, of our most diabolical form, that surely has to go down as one of the worst we've seen this season, doesn't it? It's probably hard for us to not put it near the top. Second half onwards. From second half onwards.
Yeah, but listen to Shearer's comments. It's Tottenham that time from Sir Alex. John Terry says, you always knew when it was Tottenham, you could go and get at them. So what does this tell you about the club the last sort of 20 years? I know it's been a case with Tottenham for quite a few years, but, there's no player is there from when Fergie was there, as it was Tottenham. The manager's changed. So this is what I'm saying to you about the whole culture of the club. And Frank was right earlier talking about Lloris. He's a World Cup winner. He's supposed to be the captain. A couple of times tonight, these kamikaze runs out of goal and slicing balls out for throw-ins and think that when he's under no pressure and just the whole just not right. We're like a tribute band. It looks like in moments. You quite like you think to yourself. First half, there was a few moves, and we said on our WhatsApp group, I said to Jamie, I said like some of these moves, you can see what he's trying to do. You can see that he's trying to set up this way of playing, and you think if that comes off, like it did at Leeds on Saturday, when it comes off, it's great. But most of the time, it's like going to see like a fake David Bowie, and
you're very like But this is what I think you're very reliant on playing a poor side.
And he's like
you're reliant on playing a poor side, Rich, aren't you? But I think you're reliant, Rich. Like you said, you're reliant on the opposition with Leeds. No offense to Leeds, you can see why Leeds are in the position they're in and why we got the result we got there, don't you? When you look at the way we set up,
But when you stress it doesn't quite come off. Like I'm saying to you, like going to see a tribute band. There's that moment in one of your favourite songs, and the tribute band singer doesn't quite hit that note, doesn't quite look right, doesn't move the same, doesn't have that X factor. And that's Spurs at the moment. We're like Tottenham Hotspur, aren't we? It's a bit like Spurs, but like a tribute band to Spurs.
Yeah. I must just say,
like little moments, but not enough.
No, I agree. I must quickly say on Lloris, there was a couple of moments where he had a hairy moments, but he didn't have to make a save until around the 88th minute. I mean, he denied Jones, who ran into the box. I mean, to be fair to me, he made a big save to keep out Taverner's volley in the first half extra time. Look, couldn't do anything with the goal. I mean, it was such a powerful effort, went right past him. I mean, for Lloris, it might have been a lot more difficult tonight. Could have been.
Can I just say, Lloris, though, to elaborate there, right? He's an unbelievable shot stopper. His capabilities as a goalkeeper have never been in doubt. But do you know how much pressure that guy puts us under by not being able to kick a football? The whole team, when the ball's at his feet, has to drop 10 yards. If you look at Liverpool, Manchester City, obviously I know they've got better players all over the park, but if you look what they do when their goalkeepers get the ball, or even Arsenal now, because their goalkeepers can kick through the press, we haven't got that. So Dyer has to take the ball off his feet, the whole team drops, and even when the whole team drops, he kicks the ball out behind players. It's insane. And what I'm leading on to saying now is I know from a very good connection in the club that he tells me that Conte could not believe when he first came in, and it's still the point, that how many of these players get in, do their training and go home. There's none of this staying late and doing extras. There's none of this at Liverpool, the culture of everyone being in the gym at 8 o'clock apparently, and then they go on to do training. So that's insane. Because
believable, though, isn't it? Believable when you watch it.
Hugo Lloris for the last 5 years should have been staying twice at least a week, 2-3 times a week, working on his kicking, getting academy kids to pressure him, run at him, and then he plays round them. Højbjerg, the same with his passing under pressure. Harry Winks, why is he not in the gym? This guy is physically an under 15s player. I'm sorry, I've never seen anyone get bounced off the ball like that. He's so weak. And to offer it as little as he does in his role as a screening midfielder, you have to be exceptional on the ball, like a Xavi or an Iniesta, and not give the ball away, but he doesn't. Emerson Royale, we saw a little clip of him working on his crossing in training. I don't want you I want you staying late and doing that after your training. And the whole culture of the club is a shambles, because if none of our players, with how they're playing at the moment, are willing to do the extras and stay late after training and put the hard yards in, like Frank Lampard used to do at Chelsea when he was a world-class player anyway, then what hope do we have?
I think as well, the other problem you've got is that, and I've said it a year or so ago, too many of these players don't hurt when they lose. And that's your big problem. There's your culture of the club. And so Conte comes in, I mean, he said, you must be willing to die and things like that. And I think he just looks at them and thinks, you're just too happily to accept a defeat.
Yeah,
I know we have the Leicester turnaround inside, 2 minutes, but when you look at Moura and you look at Pacos and you look at games like that, and so many of those,
even Morecambe to some degree,
Palace and things. Yeah, I mean, you needed to bring Kane and that on for that bit of quality, but it doesn't hurt. They've lost so many games, and we're not picking on names, but I mean, even to a degree. Kane and Son, how many games have they actually lost now at Tottenham? They must be getting up to 100 losses. I don't know. Got to be getting towards that type of mark, isn't it? Because it's invariably 7 or 8 at least a season, plus cup ties and that. So, you're talking about certainly 70, 80 games they've lost. Does it hurt them when they lose? Like it hurts us. We have to go into work the next day. We'll have ridicule tomorrow. They don't. They just go back to the same players that they saw on the bus tonight, so it doesn't hurt them enough, and I think that's the big problem. And until you change that, like we say, you need to change. I mean, everyone laughed when I said 17 players, but that's the type of number you're looking at to change that, to bring in players that hurt when they lose. But we don't have that, and I think we've lost more games now than any club other than Brentford in 2022.
Yeah, seven of our, Tottenham have lost 7 of their last 30 matches in 2022. Brentford are the only Premier League side to have lost more games in all competitions this season. I mean, I think like we've all said,
But what have we lost? We've lost 9 Premier League games. Is it 9 Premier League games? 9
in the Premier League, yeah.
We've lost 2 Carabao Cup ties, both to Chelsea. We've lost an FA Cup tie. We've lost how many in Europe this year? 2, 3?
Yeah.
Pacos, Moura. So, you're getting on for 14, 15 losses. Yeah.
I mean, I think we all acknowledge that, the overhaul needed here. We're not talking about 1 or 2 players. We're talking about a big change.
7 or 8 players need to be moved in and out this summer, but I don't think I don't know any club that's managed to do that in one window in Premier League history.
I think it's a lot more than that as well, Frank.
You can't do it. You can't.
It's a lot more than that.
You just cannot do any more than 2 or 3 in and out of a team in a window.
We're going to have to aim for more crackers.
Even more unbalanced. Can it get much worse? But if you start putting in half a team in one summer, that's a huge imbalance. It shouldn't get to that stage. That's why you continually.
It shouldn't, but sometimes you need open heart surgery.
Time.
Crackers, it's reached the stage you can't take a couple of tablets. You need open heart surgery, mate.
Very quickly, Rich, I want to get your thoughts. Just, Antonio Conte on the potential of wanting to stay and fix this. He says, I don't think about me. For me, there is the desire and patience to try and work very hard to make this team more stable than in the past. This is the key that can change the situation. Do you think, on the basis of what you've seen since the new year, Rich, that he'll be willing and able to want to take this on in the summer? Personally, for you, will he be here to do this?
This is why I said to you, go out and get Potter in, or go out and even get Scotty Parker in, because we're just not in a position as a club to bring in somebody like Antonio. We've just got, it's just not us at the moment. He's not that type of manager. He doesn't come in and do what we currently need. He's wasting. I still think he's wasting his time, and we're wasting. We're wasting each other's time here. To be honest,
so do you think?
I don't think he's here in the summer.
Right. Okay.
I don't think so. Well, I think it would probably help if he really believes he can do this. And I don't around and just say, as a level of my commitment, I've extended my 18-month contract to 3 years, and put some like a little bit of roots down, if you like, and then go, because I want to see this through and I want to put this right. And it's all very well saying these things. We have a director of football, so the managers shouldn't really matter. Somebody like Antonio Conte, I think it does. So there's an uncertainty with him as well. There's just this nothing's set in stone, is it? Except the actual building of flats and cinemas. That seems to be the only thing that is set in stone. The whole football thing, it just seems to be so transitional, so no plan, nothing for going forward. This and that.
No long term, is there?
18 months. No, nothing long term. I'm not happy. I'm happy. I'm not happy. I'm happy. I'm not happy. 18, I've got an 18-month contract. So it's like having a supply teacher in. We all done the same. When you had a good teacher in, you sat down, you listened, and you learned. And then all of a sudden they went on holiday for 2 weeks. Supply teacher came in. Everybody plays up. And it just feels like the whole school at the moment's running on special measures with a supply headmaster and a supply teacher. And guess what? Pupils just ain't doing very well, are they? That's how it feels. I just want to see something a little bit more set in. Why is Poch the most successful manager? Like in relative terms, he didn't win anything, but he felt more settled.
Given a long-term contract. Given a long-term contract.
Yeah, it was a long-term contract. It felt like he was in for the long haul. He felt like that he was just building some sort of mentality and some vision and some focus. Now it just seems all very transitional. It's a bit of Poch FC. It's a bit of Nuno FC. It's a bit of, Poch, Nuno, Jose FC, and then in comes Antonio, who's here for 18 months. And it's all just a little bit mishmash and disjointed. And every now and then it comes together, like against Man City, and they go, oh, brilliant. Conte's sort of gluing it all together. I mean, it just sort of falls apart again, and it glues together and falls apart. You can't run a club like that, Rick. You just can't do it. Cannot do it. And that's down to a chairman to go, right, can't keep having this. This can't keep happening on the football side. It's all a little bit, he comes in and he goes and he comes in, special guest appearance by him for a few months, but again, like I said to you at the top of the show, he's too busy out chasing, like, pretending to be the saviour of like Tottenham, the area. And we'll build this and we'll do this and we'll action, Rick. Not enough focus on the team. The whole thing's mismatched.
You say that, Crackers, just quickly. Daniel Levy, as obviously the mismanagement of funds and everything else that he's, we could have another show about that. Let's be totally honest about how many mistakes he's made. At this moment in time, can't even secure the naming rights for the stadium, which would give us an additional flow of money for what's he asking for? 20 to 30 million pound a year after over 10 or how long's the stadium been open for now? 3 years?
3 years. 3.5 years.
Where are the naming rights? We need every additional stream of income possible to go back into this football club. We do. We need every little bit of help we could possibly get. What's happened to the naming rights? There's not even any rumours linking us to any particular company at the moment. And I don't even know if off the pitch he is getting things right at the moment or what he's doing, because he's not obviously paying attention to the team, or hasn't been for the last couple of years. But where are the naming rights?
Do you know what? Right, it's one a number of those. Go on, Jace.
Let's be honest. If when you look at all the people that Daniel Levy sacked and that, I mean, if anybody else had done their job like Daniel Levy had done, he would have sacked them. We have to look at it. The failure of the club for so long. Eventually, when you've gone through so many managers, you've had rebuilds, you've had different philosophies, you've had different managers. You've changed this, you've changed the training ground, you've changed the stadium, but the same things are happening. At some stage, you've got to look at the man at the very top and say, is he really the right person to lead Tottenham Hotspur? And part of that
depends what metric he used, Jason, though, doesn't it?
But that's the thing, isn't it? But
not fouling.
The profitability.
Are you using the metric of football or the profitability of the club?
No, well, we saw
therein is the absolute crux.
But we've seen, Crackers, haven't we? The profitability, partly because of COVID, has completely gone from the club. So it's not a profitable club right now. And without European football, without Champions League football, and with stadium supporters dwindling, it's going to struggle. The problem that he will get is that we all say we need to make those investments. And Daniel will look at it and think, well, if I'm only going to get 40,000 people in here and we're only going to be in the we're not even in the checker trade, then I'm only going to give you a budget of 30 million, not 150 million. And that's what it'll do, isn't it? The very first thing that will suffer from all the things will be the line through the transfer budget. And it'll be, well, you can spend what you bring in, and we know we won't be able to bring in much. And that's what it'll do. Mm-hmm. That's what it'll do. But, you're right. Until that wonderful billionaire buyer comes along with 2.5-3 million, we're stuck.
Just very quickly, Jace, for you, and I'll ask Frank as well before we just move on. Conte, will he be here next season, Jace, based on these run of results and what he's? I
would think it's 50-50. He'll be there on the opening day. I think it's 0-100 that he's gone by the time that we have the mid-season break in November next year.
Blimey. Okay, Frank.
I say that because I partly say that, Rick, because we will not be able to bring in everything that we need this summer, and he won't have the patience to go through a year where he's got 60% of what he wants or anything like that. And we just, as much as fans don't like it, you look at it, we need 2 goals. I mean, we're talking about Hugo Lloris tonight. It's only 3 weeks ago we were saying the club have got to give him a new contract. He's got to get a new contract. He's got to get a new contract. Since he's got a new contract, everyone's slated him. But you're going to need to go and buy a goalkeeper that genuinely is a number 1 goalkeeper. Yeah, you're going to have to go and buy 2 right wing backs, because if you go and spend 50-60 million on Tariq Lamptey, who's injured for 25 games a season, and we criticise Steve Hitchin and that for not doing his due diligence, you know that 60 million on Tariq Lamptey is not enough, because you're going to need a second right wing back, and then you're going to need a left wing back. And we're going to spend 40 million on Romero, and we're going to need another 40 million centre half. Then we're going to need how many ball players in midfield? Because it's no good buying one who gets injured after 3 or 4 games, and you're left with Winks as your backup. So you're talking another striker,
and you've got to get another striker. Yep.
And you're talking realistically, you're talking over 300 million quid to fix that team, at least. And is this board really? And not being funny, which club has ever spent 300 million? let alone Tottenham. Have Manchester City ever gone out and spent 300 million in one window? And so that's going to be the problem. And you can do some deals for Conte, and you can say, right, I'll get you Tariq Lamptey, and I'll get you this one, and I'll get you that one. But there still leaves huge holes in the squad, and we're not going to be able to fix every single one with the quality that we need in one window. We're not. I know we need to. I know we're having to pay the price of all the mistakes in the past, but realistically, we are not going to spend 300 million quid in the summer, are we? And don't forget, we've got Ndombele and Lo Celso quite easily coming back to the club in the summer.
Yeah, when you put it like that,
well, I think the positives about those three out on loan is that they've started well. So we need to keep everything crossed. Well, they have, but we need them to carry that on now. Not get injured and be able to command fees for those players. If we can get anywhere near back what we paid for them and reinvest it into the playing squad, then that's a positive. But it's all ifs, buts, and maybes at the moment, which is the worrying thing.
Frankie, will he be here? I mean, he says we have to take good lessons from this defeat and continue to work. We have to become stronger. And if you want to become competitive, we have to have a stable team. Too many ups and downs still for us. You know, he's talking the words, he's using stability there, an indication that whether he includes himself in that, the stability angle where he has to be part of that for the future. But I mean, again, we'd be going into next season with a guy that would be less than a year on his contract. I mean, surely we can't be doing that. Again, would you be giving the guy a war chest to spend into someone you know he's only got less than a year left? What happens, Frank?
Well, he needs to commit, obviously, but I think there's two things in play here. One is obviously what other jobs are available, because he doesn't seem the type to me who likes sitting around for long, hence why he came back into football after his short break after the Inter Milan job. So that would be a massive factor. I don't think he'd just leave for the sake of it, but I mean, he's on £15 million a year, 280 plus grand a week, 288, I think, to be exact. Last Spurs manager, as you've all reminded me to walk, was Jacques Santini, 2004-05 was that. I think everything depends on this summer. I actually think if he doesn't get what he wants by the beginning of the season, or sort of come early, mid-August, late September, and he's not quite getting or got what he wants, I think he could walk then if he's going to walk. But for me, the money is an issue. Not an issue. It's a positive keeping him at the club, because he's paid a hell of a lot of money to be a manager. But I think absolutely everything to do with Conte depends on this summer. And then the board have obviously got to try and convince Kane to do another year at least, which seems to be a real Groundhog Day for them. Yeah. You've got to be able to buy the players Conte wants and also get rid of the players that he wants to get rid of. And on the basis of what we've seen from the same players that we know are not good enough, who on earth's going to want to buy them? And why on earth are they going to want to leave Tottenham for the sorts of clubs that would be interested in them, potentially on lesser wages? It's a bit of a mess, because a lot of these players will never get better than Tottenham because they're not good enough. So what's the encouragement for those who have got 2 or 3 years left on their contract to actually want to leave as well, to make space for these incoming players that Conte wants? So there's so many variables and facets to this summer. I mean, we're in March. We've just started March, and we're talking about the summer already. I mean, we're wasting the season, but it is to me. I know we say it every summer. To me, this summer in particular, with Conte there and Paratici and the mood and how everything really is blowing up at Spurs, it's not really that positive, is it? We're on a massive decline from where we were with Pochettino. This summer feels like the most important summer, and we say this a lot, but for me, over all the summers we've had in many a year, because it could all go well and it could be positive if we back Conte, if he gets what he wants, he commits, and we move forward. Or it could all, on the flip side, it could be an absolute disaster.
And the big key is, you know, we're talking about backing Conte, giving him what he wants. He prefers the wing-back system. So if you was to say, right, I'm going to go and buy 2 wing-backs for my first 2 targets, and you know, whether he wants Tariq Lamptey or not, it doesn't matter. But let's use that as a name and Brighton say, okay, you can have him. It's going to cost you 50, 60 million. And let's say we did it. And then we do the same on the left or whatever. And then Conte walks. We've then spent, 100 million on 2 wing backs. And the next bloke comes in and says, well, I want to play a flat back 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is the thing. If you're going to back Conte in the summer, he's got to back you as well.
Because you've got to know he's going to be here.
That's the problem with it. That's the problem. Because if you're going to spend, like I say, 250, 300 million, which we won't do, But if you're saying we need to invest that amount of money, you've got to be sure the bloke who's spending it is going to be there for more than 6 months.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's the same problem. You've got a load of players that the new bloke doesn't want.
Yeah. No, I agree. Rich, we had a question in the screen here. Faz Radfar says, is it fair or was it fair to have high expectations this season? Now, just to remind everybody, as I'm sure no one needs reminding, obviously, Conte walked in and Spurs were still in all 4 competitions. Of course, the Europa Conference League was out of his control. Obviously, we got disqualified from that competition. And obviously now, subsequently, since the new year, we've crashed out of both the League Cup and the FA Cup. And top 4, whilst we're still in that, looks, based on our current form, very, very unlikely. Was it right to have high expectations based on him coming in? Or again, does the results show just the magnitude of the job?
But what was the high expectations at the start of the season?
No, I don't know. I mean, that's the question that's come in there from fans.
I don't think. I mean, I think most of us would have thought the top 3 were going to be Chelsea, City, Liverpool, and we probably all thought Man United had a squad that they should be in the. I mean, let's be honest. Man United should be comfortably 4th, shouldn't they, with the squad of players they got? So you thought probably the best we can hope for is 5th, and it wouldn't surprise me if we finish 5th now. Not being funny, we're not exactly falling below our league expectation. We might well finish 8th, but it's not beyond the realms that we could nick 4th, and I'm not saying we will do. But when I look at the I mean, Manchester United have just got beat by Middlesbrough in this competition. Manchester United have just drawn 0-0 at home to Watford. Man United didn't beat Wolves at home. Man United didn't beat Southampton at home. West Ham have lost at home to Brentford. West Ham have drawn at home to Newcastle. Arsenal got knocked out by Nottingham Forest, and they've only just scored their first goal of 2022. So, there's a lot of dross going for 4th. No, we're as much dross as the others, but that's where I think the expectation comes. It's not that I have high expectations for Tottenham. I just look at 4 or 5 teams that are really poor. And Wolves has been on a great run and get themselves into a fantastic spot and then lose to Arsenal and lose to West Ham themselves. Yeah. So, that's a Spursy result, isn't it? Why isn't it Wolvesy?
No, I agree. I mean, Rich, I think the only thing you say is that, again, going out of listen, I'll be honest with you, tonight for me was the biggest game of our season. If I'm being honest with you, I wanted to finish. I wanted to win the FA Cup more than finishing the top 4. That might, again, upset people, but I really wanted Spurs to win a trophy just to have something to show for Conte's sake going into next season. But, I mean, playing devil's advocate, does it make a difference now that Spurs will get a full week in between games? And when we saw the full week being able to build up to the City game, for example, being able to put a plan in place before a big game, does that in any way benefit us for the rest of the season, Rich? Or is there anything you could take out of tonight?
It don't, Rick, because if you average and you're playing to your capabilities, you can train for a month in between games, and you're just not going to get any better. There's no lack of effort. There's no lack of game plan. Maybe Conte could change things slightly a little bit game to game, but like Frank said, the players are just not there. So if the players are going out and giving you everything, this is why I don't get on Winks' back too much. He's giving you everything he's got, but it's not enough. It's just not enough. So until such times as that changes, nothing changes. In the meantime, expectations are high because you're being asked to pay 70, 80 pounds a game. Yeah. You're being asked to pay the most in Europe. So your expectations are high. Look, when I went to Burnley last Wednesday night, I stayed in an easy hotel. Yeah, partly like the EasyJet group, Stelios' thing. I paid 32 quid because all I needed was somewhere to get my head down overnight after getting back from Berlin to Manchester, get a train home the next morning. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. 32 quid. There was no kettle in the room, no cup in the room or little bits of milk and all that. But you know what? It was a good, clean bathroom, little bathroom, hot shower, hot water, beautifully comfortable bed, little telly on the wall, door locked, clean, hygienic, lovely. I was absolutely in love with it because 82 quid. Now, if I go and stayed in Malmaison and paid 350, 400 quid a night, you can bet your life if my pillow ain't like, duvet ain't turned down with a little mint on the pillow and the towel's like folded into a swan, I'm saying? And a range of Lapsang Souchong teas and Earl Greys and Little Milks and coffees and this and that and a Sky TV package on my telly. I'm ringing down the reception and I'm going to them, what's going on here? I ain't got this, I ain't got that. There's a little chip out of my sink. There's a bit of mould in the mastic round the bath. I'm on them like a car bonnet because I'm giving them 350, 400 quid a night. So, you know, it's value for money. That's what you've got to do. You have to sort of like set your expectations. And at 70, 80 quid a game, they're not meeting expectations at all. But that sort of harks back to previous seasons as well, where it's just not been run right, where they've skimped it. They thought, oh, we've done well, so no need to like invest. They don't get football. They just don't get football and how it works. When you're at the top, go again. You buy a player that sits below the player currently doing brilliantly, and sit him there for a year so that he can pick up speed. And then when that player goes, he drops in. They didn't do that. So this season, it's everything coming home to roost from 2 or 3 seasons ago. And then asking to pay 70, 80 quid on top as well per game. So no, expectations ain't been met. And as somebody said, another rambling analogy from Crackers. Yeah, but you know, I'll get to my point eventually. No, they're not. They're really not.
I must say, just very quickly, team-wise tonight, going into this one, we did remain unchanged. Rodrigo Bentancur remained out, but he's expected to return on Monday's match against Everton. Again, Oliver Skipp is also back in training as of next week. Lucas Moura still out with a dead leg, as was Javid Tanganga with a knee injury. Galini was back from the bench. That team did read Lloris, Romero, Dyer, Davis, Winks, Højbjerg, Sessegnon, Kulusevski, Kane and Son. You know, when you read that team out of the experience in that team tonight, just mind-boggling.
Do you know, most of them, though, Rick, it was their 3rd game in a week. Now, it's not an excuse, but there was visibly, you could see some of them look jaded, and that's down to the fact that another manager doesn't trust the full artillery that he's got in his squad.
You know, it's interesting you say that, Frankie. I mean, the bench, just to confirm, that bench was Galini, Emerson, Reguilon, Roden, Sanchez, White, Devine, Bergwijn, Scarlett. So Spurs had 3 youth stars on the bench in Devine, Dane Scarlett and Harvey White. I think what was quite interesting, like you just picked on there, is a bit like Nuno towards the end, Frankie. Conte appears to have very little faith in that bench. I mean, there was 5 subs that could be used. And let's be honest about it, it was only late on in that game that we made that double change we saw of Emerson Royal coming on along with Steven Bergwijn. And obviously, towards the end of the game, we brought Dane Scarlett on. Says it all, doesn't it, Frank, about the timing of those subs, why many were calling for them earlier, and why Conte was quite resistant to bring them on.
Because he doesn't trust the squad. He's another manager that doesn't trust the squad because there's no quality of actual depth as you go through the positions. I still believe Bentancur, who for me has been a brilliant signing already. I think that's a big loss in your centre midfield because that's the one player that plays in that position in the squad that can pass through the lines and forward pass and create to some extent. But, you know, when I saw that team, you'd like to think there was enough on paper to be able to beat Middlesbrough. But again, you look at that team. Is it a great team? No. You look at some of those players there. Have they ever performed for Spurs? You go through the 1 to 11. How many in that 1 to 11 have played 5 solid consecutive games for Tottenham during their whole career with the club? Probably 3 or 4, if that. So you look at it, no changes against Leeds. Leeds are like a wild west, an old damaged wild west cowboy who involved in a shootout with 1 gun against a guy with 3 guns. They'll just try and outgun you, but they'll get shot to pieces. We knew that was going to happen against Leeds. I said to anybody, all of my friends and anyone that would listen, will pick Leeds off from a counter because the way they're so open and vulnerable.
Leeds are reckless at the moment, the way they were going at games. Yeah. Of
course, but that 11 there today, you look at it, when a team does sit deep or sits behind or makes it hard, there's still not a locksmith in that side. The only probable locksmith is Harry Kane, but then if Harry Kane turns into the locksmith, where's the Harry Kane to get on the end of the opportunities that he creates? Yeah, and with Sonny, unfortunately, Sonny's so out of form tonight. That was a shocker from Son. I don't know what's happened with him this season. I mean,
Yeah,
he's still putting up numbers. He is. You look at
you know
the
what, Frank? You're absolutely right, because we sit here week in, week out, and we give people like Winks a bit of a kick in and Doherty. But do you know what? If we're going to do anything, sometimes we have to call those players out that are sometimes a little bit bulletproof, like Son, if he ain't had a good game, and Loris, if he ain't had a good game. Call them out for it. Because I think that's what makes winners. And Kane as well. If they ain't had a good game, you have to call them for it. And do you know what? If they continue to have, and I think that's what breeds a bit of winning. But another thing, Rick, don't discount just how well Borough done tonight. I thought their attitude, they may not have got many chances, but I thought their attitude and their application to the game was absolutely spot on. And like Jason said before, in certain games, they were everything tonight that we should be, but with that, with that better ability. And I think Borough absolutely deserved that, and they did as a team very well. Didn't create many chances, but you couldn't fault their attitude and application tonight. I thought they were absolutely spot on. I'd love to see Spurs with that heart and desire that Borough showed tonight. And if we could get that and put it into some of those players that we've got, the better players, you've got half a chance of doing something.
But Crackers, why? Can I just ask, this is a general question to all three of you, why can't these players get up for it? I mean, even Sonny, again, I'm not going to come in here and slag him off because he has put on numbers. He's desperate for a trophy, apparently. You know, Lloris is always apologising, oh, we really want to win for the club. And you hear all these sound bites and all these little apologies after games. Why can those players who are apparently, supposedly so desperate to win and win a trophy, why can't they get up for a game tonight against the Championship side who can get up for the game?
Well, can I just, on Son, Jace, come over to you, because listen, I mean, again, you know, you, of course, you know, your close links with Asia and stuff like that. I mean, I know Son's a player that you massively appreciate. You know, he has got, as Frank said, their numbers, 6 goals and 4 assists in the last 11 league games. I mean, maybe that's a testament that although he felt like he's been really off colour, that he's still producing goals, and maybe, you know, he has got some end product even when he's not at his best. But I mean, you know, he should have scored tonight. He had that obviously chance with the back heel as well, and a free header at the back post. But he did lose the ball 18 times this evening. 18 occasions in which he turned over possession with the ball. Again, it's a hard night to dig individuals out because there's been so many poor performances collectively as a team. But do you share that frustration with Son that some do? Or do you think, again, you look at the numbers he gives to Spurs, can you criticise him?
No, absolutely you can criticise him. His performance was nowhere near good enough tonight. But I think the thing is with Sonny is if you left him out of the team, who's going to come in and give those numbers? Because we talk about lack of numbers and assists for Mora. Stephen Bergwijn has a great 5 or 10 minutes against Leicester and things. But so I think the thing is, I think Conte thinks we're struggling to win games as a team. And so our best chance of winning it is a moment of individual brilliance. And Sonny can come up with moments of individual brilliance. But my worry with Sonny is, I mean, over his, I don't know, 4 or 5 years at Tottenham, we've seen him get the fullback one-on-one and be able to go outside him or come inside and bend that one in the top corner. I mean, he scored a fantastic goal at Middlesbrough, 4 or 5 years ago, where he ran to the line and came back and then eventually bent. But
wonderful goal.
A couple of times tonight, he seemed reluctant to try and go on the inside and then have a go. And when he did get inside, he thought, no, I'll pass it off. And perhaps he's not playing with the best confidence, but he still gets numbers for us because of his individual brilliance and the relationship he's got with Kane. And, you know, at the weekend, we're all celebrating the Kane-Sonny double. And you're thinking we're struggling to break teams down. How the hell are we going to do it without our best 2 players on the pitch? Because there's nothing else to come in for them, is there? And that's our big problem. There's no Vinicius. There was no Bale replaced in the summer. So you can't suddenly change a tactic and bring a Llorente and things like that on. So you've stuck with what you've got. So that's probably why Sonny's on the pitch still. I didn't think it was a lack of effort from him tonight, but it just was a poor night for him. And the header was a bit insipid at the end, wasn't it? Right at the end of 90 minutes. Even the shot where he took the bloke on in extra time was a bit insipid for Sonny. And it's just, you know, it's not clicking. But as you say, he's still racking numbers up because of the quality of player that he is. But no, his performance was nowhere near good enough tonight. But like I say, what would have come on for him? Stephen Bergwijn had a great 10 minutes. And that was it.
Yeah, I must say on Sonny, he also got a massive telling off from Dyer and Kane at a couple of points in that game in second half and extra time. Not sure everyone saw that. I mean, again, listen, he had that chance, that back heel from the Kulusevski cross, but yeah, overall, it was just, again, off the pace from Son. I mean, Kane, he struggled to make an impact for, various spells of that game. He had the ball in the net, obviously, at one point before being flagged offside. I mean, again, there was no VAR. Looked, again, very, very debatable whether that was offside, and it also looked like there could have been a potential.
I thought it was offside.
Could have also been a potential penalty in the build-up there, but again, it wasn't a great day at the office. And I think, like Frank, you said, and Rich as well, that these are the games where you want your big players to step up. And I must just say a point on the screen here that I must say Tom has put here is: can we please stop Harry Kane taking those free kicks? I mean, he had that again. He slipped at one point of taking a free kick. And then obviously, of course, it did go on to the duties went on to Eric Dyer, who had a free kick that was a good save, to be fair, from the keeper. I think, again, we should maybe now use that as a bit of a lesson in future. Can we take Harry off the free kicks, please? But I mean, I know, guys, we're sick of talking about Borough. Before we move it on, Romero had a couple of sloppy moments. It wasn't one of the most imposing displays. Frankie, you're a massive fan of Christian Romero. So I'm going to come to you on him, and I'm going to go Rich next. Have you got any reservations about Romero? Obviously, he started so well at Spurs. I think aerially there's a little bit of a concern there, but again,
I said that to you earlier, didn't I? I think that's his weakness, is aerially marking on set pieces. That back three isn't the biggest with Davis and Romero, so I think when we do upgrade the left centre back position, we're obviously going to have to go for a taller lefty. Certainly one that's 6 foot plus, because we are, again, that's quite a small back three, but. Yeah, Romero was a little bit sloppy. I think he gets frustrated in games at times, which obviously he did tonight. I really like him. I think he's top young centre-back. I like the fact that he's got that bit of spite in him, because I do think we're too nice as a team. I know various of our ex-coach, Jose has said it, Conte has said it.
I mean, he's a Conte kind of player, isn't he? I think that's what you can
we
say.
need more of that. I mean, it's a pointless booking that he's given away, and he'll get many more of them, as we know, but we need that bit of devil and spite. I've had enough of just seeing us so passive. And I mean, when was it against Chelsea when Ndombele got the ball absolutely thrashed at his head from 5 yards away from Rudiger? Everyone sort of just letting it happen. I don't like getting intimidated by teams, but on the whole, I don't think he was one of the reasons we lost tonight. We've got to understand as well, this is a young centre-half who's just moved from Italy, South American, can't speak English. So on the pitch, obviously, it's going to be a bit more difficult for him, but he's also got tonight Højbjerg and Winks in front of him. Winks offers no protection whatsoever to a defence, and when Højbjerg's out of position, it's literally we're under siege. And it actually happened to Toby Alderweireld in his later parts of Spurs. He wasn't getting protected, and he looked worse than he was. And you think Toby never used to do that. Well, he used to have he used to have a wall in front of him when Yammer and Musa Dembele. So it all depends on their teammates as well. And I think, unfortunately, when he's got Doherty to his right and he's got Winks in front of him, Ben Davies on the other side, you're probably not always going to see the best of Romero. And if we can have a couple more Romeros and Bentancurs and Kulusevskis and less Gio Lo Celsos and Ndombeles, then we'll be okay with our signings. But it is what it is at the moment. A lot of people are getting on to me on my City and Arsenal fan mates and saying, "Oh, you said this Romero, he's just a level below Van Dijk and Diaz. He's going to be this, that, and the other." Well, I tell you what, put Van Dijk in our team tonight, replace him with Romero. Tell me if he's still the best defender in the world, and then go and put Romero in that Liverpool team and tell me if he performs better than he did tonight.
No, just absolutely spot on. Yeah,
you've got to have the teammates. I'm not worried about Romero. Listen, he is rash. We know he's rash. We've seen it. He's got that bit of devil in him. He will pick up bookings, but he's the least of our worries. Trust me.
Yeah, I mean, just coming over to Richard to summarise on the defence. I mean, Eric Dyer had a real opportunity in those last couple of minutes. It was scrambled off the line by Borough, but I thought overall he looked good. He saw a couple of times having a stern word with Son. Ben Davies, he tried to combine defending and attack. It didn't really work out for him. Matt Doherty, again, didn't really hit the heights of that Leeds game. And Session, had a few early moments when I thought he looked like he might be showing us the form of Leeds, but didn't really get going, did he?
I was just going to say, Rick, Matt Doherty's performance tonight was below bang average, and yet he was still our best right back tonight, because Emerson Royal made it even worse. That's how bad it was. If Doherty was 4 out of 10, he still managed to be the better one out of 2.
Ain't that Spurs summed up? But there you go, Rick. It's like, we spoke about Son, didn't really happen. Kane, it never happened. this isn't, what we have to get away from a little bit is looking at individuals, because this is a team game. You can go out and buy yourself really top quality £1,000 triple glazed window. If you don't fit it in with the right screws and put the right putty around and sealant around it, it's going to be drafty. Everybody sort of relies on those around them. Romero, the problems with him, but he's got no winks like shielding him. Son, a little bit off it tonight, but he's not being fed by decent players. So a player is only as good, really, as those around him. Maybe I've been a little bit disingenuous in the past by saying world class. Maybe he would be if he had some better players around him. He probably could even be a little bit better. Do you know what? In fact, thinking about it, he's probably better than world class, because he looks that good with like some absolute dross around him, and he's still good. So it's done him a disservice, if I'm honest. So it's all moving parts, isn't it? A can't be good unless B and C.
It's like Frank said, take one.
It's all moving parts. And if parts of that aren't doing so well, can't perform as well. It's like you inject as petrol into an engine, your pistons ain't going to work very well if your injectors ain't any good. You know what I mean? No. So we can look at individuals, but they do need to be all a little bit reliant on each other and to.
No, you're right. You're right. Yeah, you're right, Rich. It's a team collective. You're spot on. It is a team collective. But I mean, like I said, you talk about Emerson there as well, Jay. I know, Rich, you also mentioned him. Emerson coming on and playing Kubo and onside for the goal. So doesn't that to sum up Spurs in our defence at the moment? I do just want to quickly touch upon the fact that, obviously Bentancur is coming back very, very soon. Frankie, I know you call this obviously Winksburg. So, I mean, hopefully we won't see it for much longer, because Winksy, again, as we've touched upon, not one of his better nights. I mean, and even Højbjerg, to be honest with you, lost at sea at times. I mean, that combination doesn't work. There'll be frustration thinking, why are we picking these two? Why are we not giving someone like Devine or even Harvey White a chance? Do you buy that, or do you have to play the more experienced players when we're playing a team like Borough away from home in a high-profile FA Cup tie live on the BBC? Do you understand why we've played those two? Or is he forced by?
You can't blame him, because he doesn't want to. He obviously doesn't trust the unknown, which is exactly what they are. But can it get worse? I mean, that combination, it doesn't balance itself out. We've got what I can't even be bothered to break down the key to the problem of what that is in that combination, because the attributes they don't gel well. Can it get worse?
Really lack confidence with each other. I think
it's not just that. Højbjerg is. I love his characteristics in a sense. His energy, he tries. He's got that character. He's one that won't be bullied. Physically, he can be quite imposing, and he doesn't actually shy away from responsibility. Højbjerg wanted the ball constantly tonight, but he's just not got the ability. He plays with his head down. His natural instinct is to go backwards and sideways, just without looking. To me, he doesn't seem to see that picture. He doesn't get his head up and see what's in front of him. So many times he gets on the ball and you think, make that forward pass, whether it's down the right flank or through the middle, and he just checks and goes backwards. And then to balance that, you've got Winks, who has got the capability to pass forward, because we've seen it. But again, at the moment doesn't seem like he's playing with confidence. And what Højbjerg lacks on the ball, Winks has got more of. But what Højbjerg has in physicality, Winks hasn't got any of. It's like it's so easy to lose it. I mean, defensively, he doesn't offer that screen and that shield. So the balance there is you've got two players. One doesn't offer any protection in front of his defence. Yeah. Both can't really pass forward and create much. Busy doing nothing at times, both of them.
Yeah. Again, it's hard. I don't want to get
so deep, Rick. They're so deep. They're sitting on top of our back three. So when they receive the ball, I don't know if it's in a tactical instruction, but they're receiving the ball short off the back three. And there's just a massive gap in front of them, of our front three. Yeah. And neither of them really are great ball carriers, are they? They can't really sort of drop a shoulder and take it past two.
Definitely not their
and I can't, as I said at the beginning of the show, I cannot continue to watch the same combinations, all the same players, because it is soul destroying. particularly the ones that have been there a while now. And
we massively need Skip and Bentancur back in that middle.
We massively.
Hopefully we put out our misery.
See what happens then. Yeah, because Loris says, he was poor tonight, but Loris saves us more than we lose. Dyer and Romero in defence, are pretty decent. If we then get Bentancur and Skip back, Son and Kane and Kulu, that's something getting near a decent spine. But as soon as we start losing their components, we knackered, Rick. But if we can get an extended run with that as our spine, maybe, just maybe.
Yeah. The engine room is so important. Anyone who knows football, watches football, has played football, centre midfield is so crucial. And if you haven't got a midfield, which it looked like we didn't at times tonight, you will not win football matches. No. And I'll say it again. I've said it once. I'm not just picking on him. But Harry Winks bottling 50-50 challenges is unacceptable at this level. If you're not able to play those forward passes and you're one of the unables, as crackers would say, fair enough. You're giving your all. You're playing to the best of your ability. You start pulling out 50-50 challenges when the fans are already on your back because they're not convinced by your ability. You're just going to make a rod for your own back, and fans will turn on you. It's unforgivable. You can't bottle challenges. I'm sorry.
I'll be honest, Frank. Even the worst of that tonight is that moment in extra time where he failed to play a 5-yard pass. Then he almost couldn't even make the tactical foul afterwards after losing the ball to bring the bloke down. You just thought, well, if we can't make the pass,
you centre midfielder, and again, you look at our old centre midfield. I'm not going to keep dwelling on the past, but it's hard not to at the moment. You had Victor Wanyama and Moussa Dembele. Now, can you imagine being an opposition centre mid, looking up and seeing those two? You think, oh my God, today we're in for a game. This is going to be relentless. And today, the same player looks up and sees Harry Winks is your opposition number 8 or whatever. You are going to think, I'm going to dominate him. I'm going to bully him. I'm going to get all over him. I'm going to get on top of him. I'm not going to give him a chance. Yeah. It's the difference in our old midfield to this midfield is depressing, Rick. It's depressing.
Yeah. Jace, just to finish up on this before we do a quick 5 on Everton. Jace, is there any positive? I mean, Bergwijn, I thought when he came on, he looked quite bright, to be fair. And I thought overall, Kulusevski, again, when you've got to remember, he's only played a handful of games so far. Again, he's looking like he's becoming more and more acclimatised to this league, or should I say English football in general. Are those two players that we'd like to see given more opportunities in the next few weeks? Bergwijn, maybe? We've not really seen much of him since, obviously, Leicester.
I don't know. Kulusevski, yes, because I thought he looked like he might make things happen tonight. Okay, it didn't work out. It's a shame he couldn't have got that shot off when he got through, but a fantastic tackle from the Borough lad. Bergwijn came on, made a difference for 5 or 10 minutes and then disappeared from the game from there on in. And if he'd have had a left foot, he'd have probably scored rather than trying to poke it in with his right foot. I don't know if we'll see much of them. Since Leicester, with the turnaround that Bergwijn made against Leicester, he still hasn't forced his way into the starting lineup, has he? So it would suggest we're probably not going to see him. And like I say, we're all loving at the weekend the Son Kane link up. I still think Conte thinks that's my best way of winning games at the moment is the Son Kane link up. So he's not going to leave Son out and he's not going to leave Kulusevski out. So I can't see Bergwijn playing. No.
Okay, well, what we're going to do, I think we're going to leave it there with Borough because it's just too much painful more to dig. So we will go for our final break of the show for our listeners that are on audio. Taking into this break, you're going to hear very kind of from an Everton podcaster that has given up their time to give us his preview ahead of this game. For our watching audience on YouTube, there's still needs 700 of you plus watching us live. God, guys, thank you so much for your incredible support. I just, again, as I said at the top of the show, wish we were bringing you much more of a positive show. And again, thanks again to Rich, to Frankie, to Jason going past midnight here for this. And it's not easy to do when you've watched 120 minutes of what we've had to watch. But in a weird way, these shows do make you feel a bit more cathartic afterwards.
Cricket's on, Rick. Hurry up. The cricket's on.
Yeah. Ask these boys in the morning.
Indoor skydiving from Azerbaijan's on, and Jason needs to get off to watch it. It's on
if only I wished that my dad, bless him, would have told me about that when I was younger, not about Tottenham. God, I could have saved myself a lot of pain. The indoor acrobatic scuba diving championships would have been handy, I tell you. Lads, Everton on Monday evening. We've got a few days now to lick our wounds and try and come back.
So, Rick, everyone else would have played on the weekend. We've got to play on Monday. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, Frank, we'll start with you then as you bring that up there. I mean, for a club that doesn't really handle games in hand quite well, I could probably see where you're going with this. I mean,
games in hand, must-win games, Rick. It's been this way for many years. Even unfortunate under Pochettino, when it came to the crunch, the Battle of the Bridge, 2-0 up away at Chelsea, you end up drawing 2-2. It's the mentality of this club to bottle opportunities and situations. And Everton gave a good account of themselves against Man City, I felt, on the weekend. They rolled the sleeves up and put in a shift, so it's not going to be easy. But yeah, I don't like us when we're playing when everyone's played, as you could tell. You know, whether it's a Monday or a Sunday and our rivals are played. I don't.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, Dele Alli reunion we must add as well. So Anthony Costa was here. You know what Anthony would be saying.
No, he won't start. But it's going to be tough. I mean, we should be beating Everton at home, but
I mean, Everton's away record. I'll be jinxed for saying this has been horrendous.
Yeah, horrendous.
Yeah,
that has been horrendous. And Bentancur will make a huge difference if he's back. By the way, an absolutely huge difference to how we play. But as with Spurs, what we, Frank Lampard, someone said it in the comments, is true. He'll probably sit in. He'll know how to play against Spurs. He'll make them tough to beat. They've got some hard workers in that team. They'll make it difficult, and it'll be whether we can break them down or not. But yeah, like every game for us, it's a must-win game, and I just don't know what Spurs you're going to get on Monday. What Spurs do you get? No one knows.
Well, this is the aspect of it. I mean, Jay's coming over to you. Everton at the moment, they sit 17th in the Premier League table. When you look at this season, they have lost 14 games, Everton. Like I've just touched upon there, as Frank said, doesn't expect Dele Alli to start. Hasn't done much there, obviously, since his move. There you are. I've jinxed it again. What do you see coming out of this game, Jace? What Spurs will turn up? There will be one thing I will say is that the crowd, that will be a very interesting piece, as Frankie said, because we know Spurs have obviously put that email out there to say tickets bring us up to 4 or 5 guests. I'm right in saying. I think, Jace, you're going, aren't you, Monday night, potentially, to that? I mean, what are you expecting from that game from Tottenham? What Tottenham will turn up under Conte?
I think an average Tottenham turns up, but we get 3 points. I genuinely do believe we'll beat Everton. But it's, linking, it's this up, down thing, isn't it? So I think we'll beat Everton because I think if you can, I know they played okay at the weekend against City, but I thought they ran out of steam pretty much at half time, and then City got on top of them. Although obviously you had that crazy VAR decision, but I think we'll beat Everton. We've got days to prepare for it. I think Bentancur will be back. Just make sure Richarlison doesn't throw himself to the floor and give you away your set pieces around the box. Other than that, I think we'll be okay. But the script is set, isn't it? If you do give that set piece away for Cursor, the old boy, and Dele to get on the end of something. But it wouldn't surprise me actually if Dele starts. I think he might actually start. Not that he probably deserves to be starting, but I think Lampard might just think, if this is the game for him to start, because if he doesn't play well here, he will never play well for me. Yeah,
and also we must add, I think Everton, he's got to play 20 games, I'm right in saying, before there's a fee involved, right? I think at the moment, Everton haven't got 20 games left to go, so at the moment they're getting him on a free transfer, which is interesting. I mean,
he can only play 18, even if he started every game, Rick. When he went, it was only 18 games that he played in, and it started to pay up after 20. So shrewd move by Everton. That shrewd businessman Levy again, with no naming rights and buying like 2 players out on loan for 100 million. Very shrewd businessman.
Well, I mean, Jordan there says, Rich, Conte's record 5+ days to prepare at Spurs, 6 wins, 1 draw, no defeats. But I mean, we like ruining Conte's record so far, so don't put anything past Tottenham. I mean, what do you think, Rich, going into this one? Are you? I don't know if you're there Monday night for this one. I think you are, aren't you, with Ant?
Yeah,
Monday night.
Yeah, going there on Monday night. Yeah, going with Ant, and like Jason said, Richarlison will be throwing himself on the deck. Frank and I went up to Everton earlier this season, didn't we, Frank? We went up there and it was embarrassing. He was just on the deck more than he was up. So, but look, Tottenham this season, I'm going 3-0 It'll probably be like some sparkling performance. Like, you know, there'll be players turning it on. We'll get out and like the Leeds game, we'll just turn it on and we'll go and win it like 3-0. And then you'll go like, where's that come from? Why can we do that and then not that? And then back to like getting dicked 1-0 again or a draw. And that's just Tottenham at the moment. You know, you couldn't put them in your acca, could you? But
no,
I fancy us. I fancy us on Monday now to absolutely go at it and just look top drawer again. And then you go, what's going on?
So frustrating.
What is going on? It is so frustrating. Talk about we are currently all or nothing, like the documentary, aren't we? We're just all or nothing, all or nothing. It's just it's a nut house at the moment. So
I just hate.
I fancy it.
Yeah. I just hate this, boys, and I'm sure you're the same as me, that when you get to this point already and you're in March and you're out of everything, I know obviously top four still to play for. It's just a horrible gutting feeling when you wake up tomorrow and you think, oh, out the FA Cup, and it shouldn't be. You know, listen, Borough deserved it tonight. I've got no qualms about that. You know, they fully deserved that, fully deserved the win. But it's so frustrating. You know, I just think you look at where we are now in the league, and I don't know how we're. I mean, Frank, do you think we'll get a consistent run out of these players in the league between now and the end of the season?
No. Not at all. Let's be realistic here. I mean, I don't know where the confidence is coming from for Monday night as well, because you just don't know. And the unfortunate thing as well is the longer this trophyless drought drags on, the longer it's going to be a thing, particularly in the media and some of the social media pages, your Odd Bible, whatever. They love regurgitating the fact that we haven't won anything in this period of time.
Yeah.
It's now coming up to 15 years. And the longer that goes on, the longer this mentality is going to seep through the club, which it has, obviously, and it must filter through to the players and the whole culture of Spurs becoming a non-winning club, which is rubbish anyway, because football didn't start in 1992. But in recent years, we have become a non-winning club.
Yeah.
And I worry for us with this, because the longer this drags on, we just need something to break that duck. A League Cup win, an FA Cup win. But unfortunately, you look at the League Cup final on Sunday, we're a million miles away from both of those sides. They've got to the final this year.
Yeah. And again, this final, also, let's be honest about the FA Cup final, is going to probably end up being those teams again, right? Probably.
Of course. Liverpool is still there. Chelsea, Manchester City.
City went through tonight,
So there you go. So it just... This mentality thing we all talk of has now become such a thing. It's almost tangible, because it's spoken of by so many different outlets, and we see it's on the big social pages. It's become a bit of a rod to poke us with and dig us with. And I just have no confidence from now until the end of the season, particularly with that. What have we got to play for? Nothing really. Are we confident of getting top four? No. Let's be totally honest. We've got to go to Old Trafford. That's the team that I think will probably nick fourth, or should. God forbid Arsenal nick fourth. I mean, they're due an injury or two. They're due an injury or two. They are. They're due an injury or two, and that's the last thing we want. But I just, from now until the end of the season, Rick, I've got no emotion. Again, I don't look forward to going to the games. I won't probably go to any away games. What's the point in wasting my weekend with the travel and all the rest of it? We've just got to hope that Conte gets a tune out of the players that he wants. And there's big plans for an overhaul in the summer, and that he stays, because otherwise it will get worse before it gets better. And I can't take it getting worse from where it is now. Basically being a team between 5th and 8th. That's what we are. And
it's
a team
terrible.
Can't win a trophy. And that's what we are at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Jace, very quickly.
Rick, Rick, don't forget we've got to go to court still to get ourselves put back into the Checker Trade trophy in Europe.
Well, I was about to say, I was coming to Jace on that one. Checker Trade is still our best bet.
When we go into court to go back into that, that's
Jason was celebrating.
That's long gone, mate.
Jason was celebrating when we got out of it.
Drop that case. The lawyers put the bid in, but I went over there and nicked the fucking bid before anyone could read it. So there was no way I was letting us go in for that Checker Trade, mate. No way. I set light to that. Don't worry. There was no way we were back in the Checker Trade.
Jason, is there any hope, Jason? Because we have got that period now where you will have 5 to 6 days to prepare for a game. Does that give you any optimism for the rest of the season, or do you think it will be up, down, up, down, up, down in terms of that Premier League now? That's all we've got to concentrate on.
I think we'll win some and we'll lose some. It's as simple as that. But like I've said, I look at the teams around us and they'll win. I mean, I'm looking at the table now. Man United this weekend play Manchester City.
Yep.
At the Etihad, West Ham go to Liverpool.
Yep.
So Arsenal go to Watford. You'd expect Arsenal to win. So you're looking at it and think Tottenham Monday night, if you beat Everton, would be level on points with West Ham and 2 points behind Man United, with Man United the next one to play. So, I mean, like I said, Manchester United squad, they should be fourth. They should be be in the distance in fourth. We shouldn't even have a chance to be fourth. Yeah. And everyone will look at it and say Arsenal have games in hand. Arsenal's games in hand are against Chelsea, Liverpool and Tottenham. So that Arsenal game is a big one. And, will they go to Chelsea and win Arsenal? Will they beat Liverpool at home? Not easy, is it? So,
no.
We're not a million miles away. And like I keep saying, it's not because we deserve to be fourth. It's not because I think we're good enough to be fourth.
All the teams.
I think that the teams around us are still as dross. And like I say, when everyone says you don't deserve to finish fourth if you can't beat Southampton and Wolves at home, but the team currently fourth couldn't beat Wolves and Southampton at home and lost in the cup to Middlesbrough.
I think, Jace, this year the fourth place team will lose sort of 12 plus games.
It's embarrassing, isn't it?
Believe that. And it's a statement of what this league is. It's a 3-team league.
It will be one. It will be one that I think the lowest points totals to ever get fourth. I think it will be. If you look at what they're going to calculate. Right, let's put you.
Just to quickly interject there. This is what frustrates me, because this is why the recruitment should have been better last summer. We should have signed a bit more experience, because you've all reminded me, there is a little bit of an opening there by default, by the fact that the best of the rest are pretty dross this season.
Yeah.
So we can't afford to make the same mistakes again and again and again in future transfer windows.
But all you could say, Frank, and that's not defending Tottenham at all, because it isn't good enough. But Manchester United finished in the top 4 last year and added Ronaldo, Varane and Sancho. Jesus Christ, are they in a battle for fourth? Because they did that. I mean, they finished in the top 4 last year. They're still in the Champions League now.
Finished second.
And they've added Ronaldo, Sancho and Varane. Jesus.
Yeah.
Mad. Let's put you at your misery, boys. Let's quickly just do predictions, and then we'll all try and retreat and get ourselves back to some kind of mental reality to go again for Spurs. Rich, let's come to you to start. Rich, yeah. What are you going to go for?
3-0, Rick. 3-0. I reckon it's a good performance, and we played really well, and we win 3-0. And I think like we get at them, we get an early goal, we go at it, we look good, the players look good, Son and fire. Doherty probably has a great game. Benton Kerr and Kulu back playing, hopefully. And I can just see us playing very well. Until the next week, when we're just when we're Tottenham Hotspur again, and that'll be us. It's the turn of a good game.
Yeah. So Spurs, it's very quickly, because I don't want to forget to ask you. Just want to give us a minute. What's coming up in your diary for people to, if they want to see some what trophies do look like? Have they got any events to come up where they might be able to see players that have won trophies at this club very quickly?
Yes, Friday night. If anybody's in Kent, Dart area, I'm at Dartford FC with Paul and Clive Allen. How much Clive Allen worth, by the way, in today's market? 49 goals in one season. So to Cracknell, I'll put the details up of that. So if you fancy coming to Dartford Friday night, then a little bit of a break, and in Chessington, Clive, Chrissy Waddle and David Howes coming up. That's over in Chessington. Got a couple over in Ireland as well, with Chrissy Waddle in Limavady and Dublin. Stevenage with Glen Oddle as well. Very, very few tickets remaining for that in April. So, a few nights coming up. But the next one's Dartford with the Allen cousins, so who are very good. So, you get yourself along there Friday night.
Go and see what it's like to see players who've actually won trophies. Our pleasure, Rich. Frankie, you will be back on. I mean, you've asked me. You will be back on, Frankie, in the next few weeks. Sorry to do this to you. What are you going for here, Frankie, for Everton?
You've actually promised me the Arsenal game at home, so don't forget that. And I don't know why I've asked. I don't know why I've asked.
You sure you still want that? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put that in the pen file.
What I text you back and said to you, I said, as long as you're sure.
Yeah. Oh well. Predictions, Rick. For the Everton game, listen, it's a game we should be winning, but I can't predict Tottenham at the moment. It depends on what Spurs show up. You'd like to think, as Cracker said, a nice 3-0, 3-1 win possibly, but in my mind, that game could easily be a draw. It could be a frustrating 0-0.
Yeah.
So I can't give a prediction with this Tottenham
that stadium,
team at the moment.
if we don't get a positive result on the back of going out the FA Cup, we don't get a positive result in that stadium on a Monday night where the tickets, they're already giving them away.
Well, the worst game was the Wolves game. The Wolves game, fans in the stadium being there, it turned.
But this is what I mean. Vicious. I don't know. Is playing at home even conducive at the moment? And they'll probably argue that away, tonight isn't great. But I tell you,
I don't know. I don't know the answers. I mean, it's all very. I could say yes, no. Obviously, we're better at home than we are away. The form. You look at the league table; it dictates that. But I don't know what you're going to get from this Tottenham team. It could be a brilliant performance. We could put in as Cracker said, a shift, win 3-0. But in my mind, we could easily draw 1-0, 0-0. Could be frustrating. Last 20 minutes, can't break them down. And it's Jekyll and Hyde. That's exactly what this team is at the moment. So I don't know. But the bonus and the plus is the time that Conte will be given to prepare his side. A week or 5 days. Yeah. The statistics tell us that when he's had more time to prepare his team for each game, we tend to win more football matches. So that's a positive.
Amen. Frankie, lots of love for you tonight. Thank you so much as always, mate. You will be coming back on for Arsenal and probably a few more the way it's going. So really appreciate you coming on, Frank.
No, pleasure. Thanks, Rick, and thanks everybody involved in Last Word on Spurs. I mean, this group, there's a certain few on Twitter that like to tweet things about the Last Word on Spurs team, that they don't love the club. They're in it for the freebies. They get this, that, and the other from the club, and they should be more vocal against the ownership. It's the biggest load of nonsense I've ever heard. We are just a group, particularly Ricky, who started this, and Jason, who's been with it for years, a group of passionate Tottenham fans who want nothing best for the club, its players, whoever those players are. We just want to see our team do well. And some of the nonsense relating to that needs to be nipped in the bud because it's utter rubbish.
Who wants to come on here? Who wants to come on here?
You know we all get press passes, didn't you? Apparently.
Apparently you all get free tickets because Last Word on Spurs, they don't want to give up their freebies, do they? So they won't turn on Levy.
Rick,
tell you what, it's getting such a great relationship at the moment.
Barely been fucking asked to travel from Arlo on Monday night to go and see us, let alone travel from Lanzarote every other week on a free pair. Please. It's so I shouldn't laugh really, but I do laugh. I mean, some of the things that some of the people think that we actually get. Yeah. The club hate me doing Legends nights. They don't want to do them themselves, but they don't like me doing them either. And I don't even talk bad about the ownership or anything.
I know, and anything that even Chris Cowden, even what he's been given he's from sponsors when he goes to the, if he'll go into the swanky parts. It's not from the club. He didn't get given anything from the club. It's like people think that Ricky gets free tickets. You're all in the swindle. That's why you can't tweet anything bad about Daniel Levy. It's insane. What
I don't understand is, though, what makes me laugh is that, how many people come on this show and have criticised the board in the last 2.5 years? It's not exactly like it's a nodding, everyone's for Levy, is it really? Let's be honest about it. I've never known that, you can't. I mean, how can I sit here and say to someone, you can come on, but you can't give your view? How
Crackers is criticising, Frankie's criticising. I said tonight, Daniel Levy, if it was anyone else, would have sacked himself. What we don't call him is cancer and jump up and down and say we want you to die. That's the reason. There's a difference between the two. And there's people dying in Ukraine, and maybe that's the reason why you don't do things like that. And I've lost 2 people to cancer, and cancer's not a word that I use in terms like that. Because there's a big difference between cancer and somebody we don't think is good enough for our football club.
Well said. Words like that, too strong, too harsh. And you won't see anyone around here calling individuals disgusting names like that. I'm sorry. And if that's not for you, then I don't want you following me or listening to the show anyway, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. Guys, I must say to you three, thank you so much for everything tonight. No, it's not easy coming on straight off the back of what we've watched. So our viewing audience have had nearly 800, 900 of you watching us live on the back of that display. So once again, your support for this show goes beyond anything of the realms that we can say. So again, thank you so much for all of your support, all your comments. And unfortunately, we'll be back with you for instant reaction on Monday night, where who knows what is coming our way.
We're winning. Yeah. It's an easy win. Don't worry. We're winning.
Oh, I tell you what. Jay. So Spurs at the moment, it's so up and down, as we know, so up and down. But listen, like the fan page, you can't please everybody. This is it, isn't it? So from Rich, from Frankie, from Jason, from myself, guys, keep safe, keep well, and as always, come on, you.